Imagine walking into a room and being asked to choose your next romantic partner, but the only thing you can see is their completely naked body. No name, no job, no personality, just a body. Sounds wild, right? But here's the shocking part. Science says your brain has already made a decision before you even realize it. And today we're going to unpack exactly what's happening inside your mind during that moment. Welcome back to Psychology of Love, the channel where we break down the science behind attraction, relationships, and human connection. If you watched our first video on naked attraction, you already know the basics. But today we're going even deeper. We're talking about the unconscious psychological processes that drive physical attraction. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to look at attraction very differently. So stay with me. Let's start with something fascinating. Psychologists at Princeton University discovered that the human brain forms a first impression in just 100 milliseconds. That's literally 1/10 of 1 second. Before you can even process a conscious thought, your brain has already decided whether it finds someone attractive or not. But why does this happen? It goes back to something called evolutionary psychology. Our ancestors needed to make quick decisions about potential mates. Is this person healthy? Are they strong enough to survive? Can they produce healthy offspring? Now you might be thinking, we're not cavemen anymore. But here's the thing. Your brain hasn't fully caught up with modern society. It's still running ancient software in a modern world. So when contestants on Naked Attraction see a body for the first time, what looks like a simple physical judgment is actually a deeply complex neurological process happening in milliseconds. Your brain is scanning for symmetry, because symmetrical bodies signal good genetics; posture, because it signals confidence and health; body proportions, because they signal hormonal health and fertility. Fascinating, right? One of the most unique psychological dimensions of naked attraction is vulnerability. Think about it. Standing completely naked in front of strangers is one of the most vulnerable positions a human being can be in. And vulnerability in psychology is deeply connected to attraction. Dr. Brené Brown, one of the world's leading researchers on human connection, found that vulnerability is not weakness. It is actually the birthplace of connection. When we see someone being vulnerable, especially physically vulnerable, like on Naked Attraction, something interesting happens in our brain. A region called the anterior cingulate cortex activates. This is the part of your brain associated with empathy and emotional connection. So viewers watching the show aren't just judging bodies, they're actually forming emotional connections with contestants, simply by witnessing their vulnerability. This is why the show is so addictive psychologically. It's not just about attraction, it's about watching raw human vulnerability unfold in real time. And here's the deeper truth. In real-life relationships, the couples who allow themselves to be truly vulnerable with each other build the strongest emotional bonds. Naked attraction, in a strange way, is demonstrating one of the most powerful psychological principles of love. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough when people analyze this show. Body image psychology. Research published in the journal Body Image found that over 90% of women and 80% of men report some level of dissatisfaction with their physical appearance. So what happens psychologically when someone who struggles with body image watches Naked Attraction? Two things can happen. First, social comparison theory. Psychologist Leon Festinger developed this theory, which explains that humans have a natural tendency to compare themselves to others. When viewers watch contestants on the show, they involuntarily compare their own bodies, which can either damage or surprisingly boost their self-esteem depending on the comparison they make. Second, normalization effect. This is actually one of the most psychologically positive aspects of the show. Because Naked Attraction features bodies of all shapes, sizes, and types, repeated exposure to diverse body types can gradually rewire how viewers perceive normal. Research in exposure therapy shows that the more we're exposed to something, the less threatening or abnormal it feels. So in a strange way, Naked Attraction might actually be helping some viewers develop a healthier relationship with their own body image. Now, isn't that something you wouldn't expect from a show about naked dating? Let's now talk about one of the most emotionally charged moments in the show, the elimination. When a contestant gets eliminated based purely on their physical appearance, what happens psychologically? both to the person being eliminated and to the person doing the eliminating. For the person being eliminated, psychologists call this social rejection pain. And here's something remarkable. Brain imaging studies from UCLA found that social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Meaning being rejected on naked attraction literally hurts the brain the same way a physical injury does. The same painkiller that works for a headache has been shown in studies to slightly reduce the pain of social rejection. This is why rejection in love and dating feels so physically painful, because to your brain it actually is. For the person doing the eliminating, this is where cognitive dissonance comes in. Most people see themselves as kind and non-judgmental, but eliminating someone based purely on physical appearance creates an internal psychological conflict. To resolve this conflict, the brain does something clever. It rationalizes the decision. You'll notice contestants on the show always find a reason beyond pure looks. The energy wasn't right, or I need someone taller for practical reasons. This is your brain protecting your self-image from the uncomfortable truth that you just judged someone entirely on their body. And understanding it is the first step to becoming more self-aware in how we make attraction decisions. So after all of this, what does naked attraction actually teach us about real love? The show strips away everything, literally, and forces both contestants and viewers to confront some uncomfortable psychological truths. Truth 1. Physical attraction is not shallow. It is a deeply wired biological and psychological response. Stop feeling guilty for being physically attracted to someone. Truth 2. But physical attraction alone is never enough. Studies consistently show that relationship satisfaction long-term is driven by emotional intimacy, shared values, and psychological compatibility, not physical appearance. Truth 3. Vulnerability is the gateway to genuine connection. The contestants who are most comfortable in their own skin, regardless of conventional attractiveness, tend to make the strongest impressions. Confidence is deeply attractive because it signals secure attachment, one of the most important psychological predictors of relationship success. Truth 4. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply a reflection of compatibility and preference, two things that have nothing to do with your value as a person. Love at its deepest level is never really about the body. The body is just the door. What lives behind that door, your emotional depth, your character, your capacity for connection, that is what real love is built on. And that's the deeper psychology behind naked attraction. If this video gave you a new way of thinking about attraction and love, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Because on this channel, we go beyond the surface every single week to help you understand the real psychology behind love and relationships. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you think physical attraction matters more or less than emotional connection? I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I'll leave it linked right here. Thank you for watching Psychology of Love, and I'll see you in the next one.